Okay. Wait a minute. Nope, that's not what I want. Yeah.
There you go. Now you can hear me.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you before.
There. Okay. No, what I said is Bobby wasn't on the last. There she is. Good.
Hi,
Hey,
Bobby.
Bobby. She's still muted.
She's muted. Oh, you're muted, Bobby. Yeah, you're muted. You need to unmute.
No hurry. It's up on the top of the screen, that little red microphone.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Okay.
you.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
Oh, we had a nice little meeting. You missed our board meeting, huh?
Oh no. Yeah, I guess I did.
Yeah, it was sort of a general, all open. It wasn't a schedule of any kind. It was only a half an hour. We talked about the finance report, and then perhaps the only other thing you don't know is that we got the grant from many. We're one of 50 in the state to get the grant on building. I have to look at it because it's still new to me. It's on building capacity, creating sustainability, and growing accessibility projects. And what they will do over the next 2 years is work with Robin and I on 2 projects. One of those has to be with the library to sort of create these virtual programs.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And that includes some technology. I think they will be sending us iPads and all of that. So initially, because of the virus, it's going to be virtual. But once things get somewhat back to normal, there will actually be get-togethers.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, did you write that grant?
Robin and I, we wrote it, yeah.
Well, congratulations.
And I was really surprised about it because I thought that it was for high needs area, and and that's based on the Department of Education. And when they sent along a link to let you know what your area was classified as.
Okay.
And in Essex, Keysville and Sable Chasm was classified as medium need.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, we're not a high needs area. So initially I was not going to apply. However, Erica from Many emailed me and asked me if I would apply, and I did. And we learned this week that we actually did get the grant.
Oh, right. Jackie, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it'll move us to another level. We also have the projects that we think we can use for this. One is actually on a focus on the Tankards family that would actually expand the John Thomas story.
Good.
And the other one is on Stephen Key Smith, his hiding place, to sort of come up with something virtually that we can do to sort of bring that to the museum, because not everyone can actually go to the museum. So that's what we're looking at doing.
I am so sorry I missed this. I don't know how I did it, but you need to knock me on the head sometimes.
I'm not going to do that. Hello.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, good.
Hi, Camille.
Change that name. Jackie, how do I change that name?
There should be a place in you know those little 3 symbols that pop up?
Okay.
There should be a place that allows you to rename yourself.
Yeah,
I
if
think
you,
it's,
if you hit participants, you can change it
Participants.
up on top.
I have speaker view, gallery view, full screen. Let me see.
okay, if you bring up the mute button and right
Yeah.
beside it, you'll see 3 little dots. Click on those 3 dots. And when you do that, you'll bring up rename. One of the selections will be rename. There's several selections there.
I think I have a different view than you do.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll play around with it. I'll find some way.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we got Robin and Max.
Oh, participant. Here we go.
Does it allow you to change?
Yes, I found it on the participants. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I got it.
Okay. You didn't like that, Andrea and Pam?
That's a family group thing. So when they come on, who doesn't know me as Andrea can know it's Pam. We do a lot of family.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. A multiple share. I changed it to multiple share, and I'm going to share a screen now. And okay, I'm here. Play.
Jackie, can you let Ethan and others in?
I did do I don't see a admit didn't come up. Have they entered?
They're trying. Okay, he said he got in.
I'm not getting any sound, Jackie.
You sure?
Yeah, I can't hear anything either.
I can't hear, I can hear everybody, but I can't hear.
Jackie,
music.
when you share your screen, there's a little tick box for sound.
Okay. Okay, wait a minute. Let me pause it here then.
I'm hearing it in my head.
Oh, you are?
At the bottom of your share screen, the big share screen,
Yeah,
just before you click on this, there are two boxes at the bottom, and the one on the left, you tick that and you get sound.
okay, hold on.
You can take this off and then put it back on, and as you
I
put it
am
back,
gonna stop sharing.
yeah.
Okay, and you say at the bottom of the screen, there is
Yeah.
a mute? No.
Yeah, you share screen, and then you have choices, right? At the bottom of that screen on the
Oh,
left.
yeah, okay,
Yeah,
I didn't click the sound. That's
Yeah.
right, you're right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, we're gonna start this because I really like this song.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that, but I do.
That's okay. I do too.
Okay. 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 I'll start it here where she starts singing. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Who's that host all dressed in white? Wade in the water. It looks like the leader of the Israelites. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Who's that band all dressed in red? Wade in the water. Looks like the band that Moses led. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Look over yonder, what do you see? Wade in the water, the Holy Ghost falling on me. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade the water. If you don't believe I've been redeemed, wade in the water. Come follow me down to the Jordan stream, 'cause God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
Hello, everyone.
Jackie?
Hi, I would like to welcome you to our 15th annual meeting virtually. So we're not involved in spreading anything. That was our opening song, Swing Low, Sweet Chariot.
No.
No, Wade in the Water, I'm sorry. I'm using a template, so I'm sorry, that was last year. I would like to thank the board and the volunteers that were instrumental in helping to get the word out about our museum during the pandemic. Board members you will see online, and I would like to give special recognition to Camille Nerne. She was actually very helpful in getting the Past Perfect up and going and helping us get our membership in. So I want to thank her. Carol played a significant role in working with the volunteer that we will hear from today. Actually, he became our educational consultant, if I'm not mistaken, right, Carol? And definitely want to point out board members Jim, Bobby Perez, Jim Clover, Kathy Lavoie, Max Radley, Andrea Bear. Carol Hetfield was the other volunteer I'd like to point out as well. Sherry Schaefer came in and helped us tremendously with our treasurer's report. So I want to thank all of you, and John Mitchell. He is our little guru publicity person. So thank you all for your help in this trying year. I'm going to do a brief summary of the year's activities. Some of them, my report will be online as well as this recording. This year was really an exceptional one. With the arrival of the pandemic, we were unable to open the museum. To bring our history to the public, we created a virtual website. And I want to sort of go through some things that we did do. Want to share just to give you some ideas. This is our virtual website. You can actually go to this page on northcountryundergroundrailroad.com/virtual-museum, or just go to the museum section from the homepage and a virtual museum display is there. This page actually contains books written by fourth graders from Flint Hill Schools in Virginia. There are video clips, and there is a section for games as well. In addition to this virtual website, Jim and Anya and Robin and Carol worked on this banner, which is on the deck of the museum's building. And you can actually get a virtual tour of the museum by going to Facebook. And that app was actually done by Anya. So I want to thank her for that. We were not able to have a street drive this year, and with the museum closed, there were no bus tours. We hope we can do that next year. Unfortunately, one of the things I really wanted to show this year was that the John Thomas room, which is our most popular room, now has subtitles in French.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that actually took place in February, just before the pandemic hit. So they're just sitting there now. So it's unfortunate that our Canadian friends who can no longer cross the border were not able to come and see it. This year I did some presentations. I did one actually just before the pandemic hit for the Beekmantown Bicentennial. It was actually on Untold Hidden Stories of African Americans within the Clinton County, Essex County area. I did a presentation at the Plattsburgh Lions Club, SUNY Plattsburgh, and this one was the Cultural Geography of the Adirondacks, which was hosted by Paul Smith's College and sponsored by the Adirondack Research Consortium. And I also presented to Diversity Fellows at the Museum on Blue Mountain Lake. We had an unveiling on your right of the Herbert Estes marker. Don Papson, the founder of the museum, with the Anderson Falls Historical Society, actually got the plaque from Pomeroy's, and it was put up, and they had the unveiling on October 3rd of this year. And that was done outdoors to meet the COVID-19 guidelines by the state. On your left is Governor Cuomo actually signed a State of New York Executive Chamber proclamation proclaiming September 2020 as the Underground Railroad Month. And that was to denote New York's role in this movement.
Nice.
As a result of that, I participated in the I Love New York video to celebrate this proclamation. And that is out on the I Love New York's website. There were actually 5 museums within the state that were a part of that video. Carol Hetfield worked with our master gardeners, and we had a garden this year. So that was probably the only thing that people could see beside our banner. The image on your left is sort of an earlier, when it was starting to grow, and the one on the right is a little later as it has blossomed. She worked with Jolene Wallace and Jim Kaye, and I should say Jim actually did a lot of research on plants that were grown by African Americans in the US. And he came up with close to 25 or 30 different types. And Carol has that information. She's actually put together some info on those. We are also, with Robin and some others, we have a committee on to update Addie Shields' book on the Underground Railroad in Clinton County. And we are hoping to have that published next year. Our newest exhibit is from Bill McDowell, and it is a photo of immigrants going into Canada via Roxham Road. And beneath that on your right is the explanation for that, for those photographs about those individuals going into Roxham Road. We are a part of the Vermont's African American Heritage Trail, which is dedicated to freedom and equality. And we are one of 3. The other one, I think, is John Brown, and I cannot remember the third one, but I will have that in my report if you want to take a look at it. Renee Moore this year, and you may have saw her face on our virtual page for the display of videos, did an answer a question and answer session on Zoom for the Solomon Northrop's Day celebration. So you might want to check that out. It's quite, she has some really good information. And this week, I learned that Robin Caudell and I will be participating in Minis. And Mini stands for Museum Association of New York, Building Capacity, Creating Sustainability, and Growing Accessibility Project. This project requires museums to develop, deliver, and assess 2 programs virtually. And one of these programs must be in partnership with the regional library. We have actually chosen our projects, which will focus on the Tankard family and the Stephen Key Smith hiding place. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our committee members because we do have presentations we'd like to get to. And I'll start with our finance committee, Sherry. Are we here, Sherry? I thought Sherry Schaefer was here. If not, then I'll pick this up and I'll do this one as well. Okay.
It looks like Sherry is here. She's on the screen.
I thought she was here. I do have your page 1, which gives a summary of our profit and losses this year.
Sherry's muted.
Sherry, you can unmute. Where Sherry?
Jackie, you can unmute her.
Okay. Participants. Okay, let me unmute her. Okay, I got it. Sherry? Is she trying to mute? I am trying to unmute her. But it's not working. Hello? I'm hitting the unmute, but it's not doing anything. Let's see. Sherry, I did hit your unmute. I did. I did hit the unmute. It's not working for you. I'm so sorry, everyone.
If she doesn't have, if she hasn't given Zoom access to her microphone in her settings, then I don't think you can do anything. That might be the problem.
I can't unmute it. I hit the unmute button, but it doesn't go away. Let's see.
This. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Just go to the next speaker.
Okay. We'll move on then. The next speaker is will be John and then Bobby. But let me find out from her what's going on.
Jackie, you got a paper or something to your right, to your left
Yes.
on the screen?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I have everyone listed here, and I try to hit her unmute, and it will not unmute at all.
Yeah.
Okay, John? John Mitchell? Waiting for your report. I can't hear John either.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, all right. So hang on just a second. Can you guys see my screen okay or no?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, so I'm just gonna give a quick, very quick overview of our committee. Okay. I oversee the Planning and Communications Committee. One of the things that we do is to help maintain our email and social media campaigns. Anya does a fantastic job at handling all of our social media initiatives, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, and whatnot there. We also kind of oversee any community outreach and initiatives, which are obviously kind of limited right now due to the COVID situation. We're making efforts to get involved in, different community things like business after hours and things of that nature. So now we're looking at just trying to find some other ways to kind of be creative and whatnot with that. Things that we achieved prior to shutdown is having some digital displays that we installed in the museum. One thing I am looking to hopefully get some traction with going into, well, I shouldn't even say the coming season, but hopefully even over the winter, is I think it might be advantageous for us to look at maybe doing a podcast for the museum.
Okay.
I run several with the school right now that I'm at now. And I pretty much have all the gear and equipment and experience and whatnot for us to have one. I think that could be a great outlet for us and allow us to kind of collaborate even with some other institutions and whatnot as well. We're also looking to get our newsletter restarted. Hopefully that'll be coming out on a quarterly basis. I do have a team of other folks that I work with at my school that are on my community to help get that going as well. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell as far as an overview of the things that we work on my committee.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, Bobby?
Yep. Okay, here's my report. As chairperson of the development committee, I need to simultaneously keep expectations high and the goals realistic. My proposals for the coming year include this 2020 year. This would be December 1st, Giving Tuesday, a popular, fast, relatively easy fundraiser for nonprofits, which we have time to pull together with the help of our media experts, Anjay and John Mitchell. Besides working with the governance committee on the 10th anniversary celebrations, in January, I would like to begin work on a docent handbook of duties and delights and start the search for a docent coordinator. This project will continue through April and include the recruitment of 12 new docents. In March, our committee would reach out to the Clinton County Extension Program to plan the African-based garden project, which we saw has already been developed. And with the board's approval, choose a book to develop into an outdoor story trail. This idea was given to me by Anja. It's fantastic, and there's models up and running on this. By our May opening, both the new garden and story trail will be completed and the new docents prepared to greet the public. During the summer, I'd like to see our bookstore expanded, our 10th anniversary celebrated, and our bus tours promoted. My goal as chair is to induce excitement, education, and stimulus in our beloved museum, and thus promoting new memberships, because the public senses something vital to our democracy is happening here. Thank you.
Okay. Sherry. I thank you, Bobby. Sherry, I think we can hear her now. She's unmuted.
I am.
Yes, we hear you.
You can hear me kissing my granddaughter.
Well, maybe she helped unmute it. But yeah, so if you want to give your finance report.
Okay, well, as you saw, Jackie, it's quite extensive, so I will just give some really broad brushstroke highlights.
I can put up the first
with-
page if you want
with
me
the
to.
year as okay. First thing with the year being as it was, the income was kind of different this year than it would have been had we been able to do our normal events and fundraisers and such. As it was, our total income to date for 2020 is still quite impressive. It's 23,000. Oh, need the glasses. $23,031.97. So not bad for no sales that I'm aware of. And our expenses for the year so far have been $20,229.06, leaving $26,442.98 as our current balance in the bank account. And of course, our savings account is at an impressive $172.64, with I think 2 cents for November as our interest earned. So we're doing really well in there. But the breakdown of expenses, our biggest expenses are insurance and software and programs. So those are our two largest expenses, with them totaling over $4,000 each. Everything else is pretty minute and like everyday kind of things, like bank fees, for instance, have only been $21. Maintenance and repairs have been pretty low this year as well. So it's just, I think we've done a pretty good job of keeping things minimal. And the budget looks good, If anyone has any questions, I have a profit and loss statement outlining all the different categories. There is a category under income titled other income, and I just simply did not know the source of that. So Jackie and I are going to get together and hash that out and put it back in, or put them in the correct categories. But for the purposes of this meeting, I wanted to be able to share with you what the total income was. So and I didn't want to be misleading by putting it under all donation or all under membership. So I just, anything I didn't know where it originated, I put in other. Does anyone have any questions for me? I know I'm going kind of quickly. It's okay, honey.
I should say that once we get the reallocations of those other incomes, this page will be going up on the web as well for our members.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, Sherry, thank you. You've had a lot of challenges lately. This is wonderful. You got this together for us. I appreciate it.
Yes, we do.
Well, thank you.
Okay. Is there anything else?
Thank you,
Sherry?
Jackie.
Thank you.
Nope, I'm all set, Jackie. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to Jim.
I was going to just say at 4:30, we were going to anticipate Nicole joining us. I'm wondering if maybe I should go on after, or has she not signed on yet?
I have not seen anyone come on.
Okay. Well, I will go ahead and share some content and then talk about the governance committee. I think I'm a few seconds away here. Is that Nicole coming on?
No, it doesn't. I don't have a thing to say admit anyone yet.
Okay. Well, here comes my share screen, I think. Come on. Did you let me share, Jackie?
Yes, John just shared.
Yeah, okay, here we go.
He's sharing for everyone.
Well, I'll start out with the governance committee report. And I'm not sure how to make that full screen unless you're seeing it okay. I'll just leave it alone.
We're seeing it full screen.
Yes, we
Okay,
are.
good. Well, we, in spite of COVID, we did make some progress, not as much as we would have liked or would have otherwise, but, and again, some of the things that I'm going to mention do cross over into the other committees. So it's not like this is totally governance, but it's a little bit of a blending. We got the museum ready to go. We would have been able to open if it wouldn't have been for COVID. So the grounds and the actual museum itself look really good in April and early May, but of course we had to make the decision not to open. Now, some other progress that's been mentioned also is that we're looking forward to our 10th anniversary. So that planning is getting underway for 2021. And then in another area for governance is fundraising. And even though we had to cancel the street drive challenge, we did turn it into a challenge out on the internet. And we were still able to attract some additional contributions, even though we couldn't conduct the actual street drive. So I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of over $600 that we were able to bring in. I think without a doubt, one of the highlights for fundraising is going to be the Jan Levine and Bob Ross Bequest Challenge. I'm going to go to the next slide. So who, what, when, how? Bob, I can't believe somebody's calling me.
Okay, here is Nicole.
Oh, okay. Well, I can stop here.
Okay.
They hung up. Okay. That's a good place to stop for me anyway.
Okay, is it Nicole? Hello?
You're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is this Nicole?
Yes, this is she.
Okay.
How are
I
you
want to
doing?
welcome you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. We're going to start your presentation now, if that's okay with you. I have your bio. This is Nicole Nikki Hylton-Patterson. She is a diversity trainer and is not an inclusion specialist.
I am not a diversity trainer, neither am I an inclusion specialist. Yes, I don't know what version of that you have.
Yes, well, this is what I was given.
Okay.
Nikki is a Black queer activist, scholar, and community organizer who has spent the last 25 years working with marginalized and minoritized communities around the world to seek justice. She is the youngest child of functionality illiterate parents from Kingston 13, one of the most impoverished communities in Jamaica. She learned early about the impact of racialized class, sexualized genders, and the power of collective action. For Hylton-Patterson, relief from the legacies of poverty and illiteracy came in the form of a gifted child program for which she was selected at 10. For the next 8 years, Hylton-Patterson lived and attended school in northern Norway. This experience helped to solidify the lessons taught by her Rastafarian, I think I got that right, father, quote, that we must always recognize our shared humanity and our responsibility to the earth, unquote. Today, she continues to draw inspiration from the wisdom of her ancestors who helped guide her quest to attain an undergraduate degree from Mount Holyoke College, multiple master degrees from the Chicago School of Professional Psychology and Syracuse University, and a doctoral degree in women and gender studies from the School of Social Transformation at Arizona State University. Her education is only eclipsed by an extensive career in the U.S. Foreign Service, a racial justice officer for the YWCA, Elmira, human rights coordinator for the Chemung County Legislature, and an academic who has taught courses in critical race and Black feminist theories, queer of color critique, Pan-African studies, and Africana philosophy. In her current role as the inaugural director for the Adirondack Diversity Initiative, she continues to mobilize and deploy the entirety of her personal, political, and professional experiences. Her mission: to equip communities in the North Country with the tools, strategies, language, and voice, all in caps, needed to dismantle systemic racism and structural oppression. I present to you Nicole Hylton-Patterson.
All right. Okay, thank you.
That was a lot of fluff, wasn't it? Shit.
That's okay.
Oh, shit. I should just let you say hi, Nikki. Yeah, that was a lot of fluff. Yeah, that is the academic one that you send when you want those big jobs. Yeah. This is not for community conversations. For community conversations, I'm just a community worker. Yeah, that's all I am. I believe in shared humanity and mobilizing people to advocate for themselves. Yeah, that's what I believe in first and foremost.
Okay.
Yeah, so all of that translate to that. And I wrote that for my mother anyway, even though she don't understand what I mean. Yeah. And when I finished my PhD, all she could say, "You're not a real doctor, right?" Yes. So, but she still tells her little church friends, "My daughter is a doctor." Yes, they don't know what it means either, but they love it. So, but thank you all for having me. It means a lot because that's part of what we, that's part of who I am, is about conversations, right? And so before I even start, I have like 5 little slides. I wanted to talk about a little bit about who we are after the election, right? I'm not gonna touch any buttons, I promise. And so I don't know if you've ever heard of Dave Chappelle. So I'm a fan of Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle is not for everyone.
No, he's not.
Dave Chappelle is not for everyone because you have to muscle your way through some of what he's saying that we would consider cringeworthy to get to the point of the punchline, which is always deeply philosophical, deeply political, but deeply reasoned. And so 4 years ago, Dave Chappelle, after Hillary had lost, and I'm pretty emotional, so I just bawled for like 2 weeks. Right? Oh, what happened? Why am I? And so I was finishing my PhD. I called my mother, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And so my mother was like, really? You're going to stop doing your PhD because Hillary lost? And so he came on SNL 4 years ago and he talked about that feeling that he was having as a Black person who didn't really love Hillary. She wasn't no Sunday meal, but she was the alternative, right?
Right.
And so he went out, he voted, he did what he needed to do, and then she lost, and he had this feeling, just this pain. And he talked about, and then he looked at the camera and said, so Donald Trump, I'm asking you, so you're our president now, you're my president now. I'm asking you to give us a shot, give us a chance, all right? We're giving you a chance. and we feel bad about it, but we're asking you to give us a chance. And then they called him back now after on Wednesday to do a monologue. And in the monologue, of course, you have to get through the bits of it that's cringeworthy, but I love me some Chappelle. You have to get through that. And at the end, he said that the problem is that most progressives, the problem is that you hate each other, right? So the progressives hate the centrists, and you hate those who voted. He said 70 million people voted for Trump, right? And y'all hate each other. He said, the difference with me is that I don't hate anyone. I hate this feeling, right? And he said, if you can understand that 70 million Americans are feeling the same way that I felt 4 years ago when I came out here and spoke about Hillary. 70 million Americans are feeling heartbroken and upset and pissed, right? So that you don't hate the people, you hate the feeling, because no one president, no one person is going to bring us together. So how do we get past hating people, hating the feeling, to start having conversations? And this is why I like these meetings, because these are conversations. I'm not making any assumptions that the 15 or the 12 of y'all voted the same way. Right?
Right.
But what I would like to say is that so after watching Dave, I taught a class in cultural consciousness, and it'll come up in my presentation. I know I got like 5 minutes. And the room was 7 females, most of them over 50, 60, white females who all identify as super progressive. I checked in with them about the election. I was listening to them. I allowed them to talk. And I just wrote down what they were saying. I just wrote down words. And then after they were finished and talked about how they felt, how angry they were, how frustrated, how we lost the moral victory. And then I paused everyone and I pulled up some very far right blogs. And I said, and I read the words that they used to describe the other side. And it was the exact same words that the far right had used to describe them.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. Crazy monster, lunatic, the exact same words. And I said, the challenge is that when we're talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, we're always looking outside, right? It's them. It's those people over there. It's always those people over there.
Right.
But what are the ways that we reproduce the same kinds of oppression all the time and then complain about the system? So this is the kind of work I do. My work is to help you grapple with yourself, help you grapple with the institutional racism that you've internalized or the microaggressions that you don't want to see. Help you grapple with that. Help you move along so that you can empower your neighbor, so that you can have those conversations with your neighbor when your neighbor's ready. Okay, so thank you for having me. All right, so may I share my screen?
Yes.
All right. Here we go. So this is very short because I want you to be able to ask any questions that you like to. So I am the inaugural director, that, fluffed up piece of paper, that I'm the inaugural director for the Adirondack Diversity Initiative. I started this job on December 3rd, so I'm not quite a year old yet in the Adirondacks. And so, of course, I come with a lot of cultural baggage, right? So I'm Jamaican, I'm Norwegian, I'm not even American yet, right? Because they want me to give up one of them. And I'm like, ugh, COVID is not making America that attractive. I'd rather keep my bloody Jamaican and the Norwegian passport so I can get my ass out of Dodge if I need to, right? But anyway, so I come with a lot of cultural Black baggage and as a human being, implicit bias. So you will hear all of that in how I talk about myself and others, right? So the
Okay.
Adirondack Diversity Initiative, real quick, the history. And so I have 4 gorgeous white progressives on my screen: Martha Swan, Willie Janeway, Paul Hay, and Pete Nelson. These are the 4 people who came together in 2015 and said, we need to do something about it, because it was, they were responding to a series of incidences, the biggest of which involved Aaron Mayer, who was the first and only Black president of the Sierra Club. And he had gone through multiple racist incidents in the Adirondacks, and a series of other racist incidents involving Black visitors to the region. And so in 2015, they hosted a diversity symposium with other groups across agencies and organizations and state groups across the North Country, and decided to form the Adirondack Diversity Initiative. So for what, 3 years, it was all volunteer run. Then they'd been mobilizing and petitioning the state since 2015. And they finally got $250,000 to hire for my position and expand the capacity in terms of programming and so on. And then, but I've literally been doing this job alone until 3-4 weeks ago, when I hired a part-time administrative manager. And then I hired a 10-hour-a-week systems person to pull this all together. So this is the history. That's Martha Swan is the founder and executive director for John Brown Lives, if you've ever heard about it. And then you would, Underground Railroad. Paul Hay is the director for SUNY ESF. So that's the Environmental School of Forestry. They're connected to the Forest Ranger School. Then that's Willie Janeway is the executive director for the Adirondack Foundation, and Pete Nelson is not only is a brilliant mathematician, but he's an activist extraordinaire across the park, and he teaches at North Country Community College. All right, so the mission, very broad stroke, is to develop and promote strategies to help the Adirondack Park become more welcoming and inclusive to visitors, residents, and so on. But this is so obviously we are going through a metamorphosis because of my hire, right? So if the organization was centrist and let's hold hands and get along, the minute they hired me, that went out the window. We need to start designing some programs that attend to the needs of the people, rather than, talking about why can't we all get along. And so that's my thing. And then we have 4 areas of focus: economic, educational, recreation, and public policy, public interest. Public policy, public interest is more filters into the other 3, but these are our 4 areas of focus. In the economic sector right now. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about the specific programs that are wrapped into these 4 areas, these 4 foci. We're focused on income inequality, right? And when I came here, I did a lot of research on income inequality in the North Country, the Adirondack North Country. It is stark. And I spoke mostly to working class folks and social workers who are embedded in the communities, to talk about what real poverty looks like in the region, and the fact that those who are desperately poor are living, a couple of miles from gazillion-dollar mansions, and how that exacerbates their positionality. And so what we're working on right now is the 2023 University Games that are going to be held in Lake Placid they're building a 1,200 apartment complex to house the athletes from around the world. And we've gone on and said that housing project needs to be zoned for affordable living once you are done. It cannot be co-opted. It cannot be taken over. It cannot become a massive Airbnb or hotel. It needs to respond to the needs of the people. And so I did a pilot study. I interviewed 145 persons to date from the Adirondack Park, and overwhelmingly young people are leaving in droves because they can't afford the housing. The housing is just ridiculous here, or it's zoned for very, very short term, and it's extremely expensive. And so those are some of the things that we're working on to intervene on these. We're also working on access to minority financing, not just minority, but low-income persons who want to start businesses. And that's a whole other conversation, right? How are you going to start a business in COVID? How are you going to start a business when everything is shut down? So all of these ventures are still, we've had to pull back a little bit, but these are what we're doing. These are some of the things we're doing. In the educational sector, I can't even talk about how big these programs are. I'm just going to give you a bite size. I developed a cultural consciousness program. It involves 4 courses and a welcomeness audit for organizations. Right now, I can only do 2 at a time. It's just me. And so what you do, organizations ask to be part of the cultural consciousness program. We do a welcomeness audit, which looks like a climate survey, but we also take the temperature of your positionality in the community. What do community, what's your relationship with the community? Then you have 4 courses: Intro to Cultural Conscious, Implicit Bias, Microaggression, Allyship, and your role in the community as activists. Bidirectional exchange, we had 110 students, 55 from the Bronx and 55 local students, who were going to come together and spend the time together this last summer, but COVID curtailed all of that. It was a lot of training, a lot of programs. It was just fabulous. We had, and they had already, the camps that were housing these children had already started hiring. One of the requirements I had was that they had to hire the Bronx teachers as part of their camps for the whole summer. So they had to diversify their staff in that way and prepare by doing the work themselves. We've also started conversations in a program with SUNY ESF. I just talked about SUNY. So starting from elementary school in the southern parts of New York, or more sort of diverse metropolis spaces in New York, to create a pipeline to diversify the rangers in the trails, right? Because that's a part of inclusion, when we don't see people who look like us, right? Yeah. So working with DEC on that. And then we have, since George Floyd's murder, we've done 68 virtual sessions across the board, and they're on our website, 68, everything from anti-racism to the Black experience in the Adirondack. I privilege local communities, local conversations. So you'll see a lot of local people talking about their own experiences in those series. Then we have public policy, public interest, which is the anti-racism education and mobilization campaign. You can see that all on our website. As I said before, part of that is the 68 programs, but we also have our community wellness program. And part of that is the community policing. We launched it on October 16th. We brought in Ren's Consulting. They're the only Black-owned community policing consultants in the country. Okay, and they agreed to work with us. They gave up Orange County. They're actually working in Kenosha right now, and they've agreed to work with us. And they're extremely, in terms of their background, they're coming from academia, they're chiefs of police, they're legislatures, there are 13 of them. And so they came on the 16th and they met with the DC commissioner. They met with people from the Attorney General's office. They met with the leaders from the state trooper and the different chiefs of police who signed on to be a part of this community wellness program, or community policing, which includes also a community health worker for each and every municipality. Because what we found, the data shows, is that 86% of the calls that police take in the park are about mental health. Yeah. And so the mental health workers, having mental health workers across the park would help to de-escalate just in the beginning. When you have somebody who's having a mental health crisis, especially if that person is a member of a BIPOC community or a marginalized community, four police cars rolling up just makes everything worse. Right. And so finally, I launched last week the ADI 100 dialogue facilitators. And this is really critical. I'm recruiting 100 persons who want to be trained as dialogue facilitators, dialogue in many, many different ways. So you are going to be, we're training with skills, and I'm working with all of the SUNYs, the DEI professionals from the SUNYs who have helped me to create this program. We're gonna train you on language, strategies, tools, intervention, nonviolent communication, and then you're gonna take that to your community. And if you wanna start a book club, if you wanna do a focus group, if we can call on you to collect some data, whatever you can do to open dialogue and communication, it's especially important right now, after this election. Those dialogue facilitators are going to be the difference between spaces like, between us continuing in a very, very divisive way and creating space where we can hear each other, right? And this is I'm calling them my army, even though I don't like I deplore the military industrial complex, even though I am the shame of my family. Half of them are in service. Yeah. So I am the shame of my family. My sister is the National Guard's person. She just shames me. She's like, whatever, you need to do real service. But yeah, so these are some of the strategies we're doing. The recreation part of it is obviously is on hold. Our intent was to bring multiple diverse groups of travelers, hikers, and so on into the park to experience the park, to do education series with us. But COVID just wiped all of that out. But, and so we are doing a lot, but it is just my Black ass and the part-time people that I had. There we go. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
Thank you,
Well,
Nicole. I'm going to open this up for questions too, Nicole.
yeah, Nicole, this is Bobby.
Bobby?
When would the Bobby?
Hi, Bobby.
Hi. When would the facilitators be available to, if we had like a church group and we wanted to have a dialogue via Zoom?
Yeah. So this is it starts off with a 30-day training, and then it continues with continuous development. So they have to continually develop themselves every month, right? So there's a full-on 30-day training and then continuous development. But for for your so they'll be ready. So I have categories of people that I'm recruiting, and they are people who are specifically from the faith communities, right? Okay. Can use those skills and translate it in the faith communities. So they'll, in 30 days from last week, we did our first session, so we haven't gotten 100 responses yet, but I'm doing it on a rolling basis. So people don't have to sit and wait. Yeah. And so, so in 30 days, the first cohort will graduate and they'll be ready. So yeah.
Well, that's a good Advent project for any faith-based community, starting dialogue. So yeah, you think so in 30 days. Okay, yeah. I'll start marking my calendar and give you a call.
And if any one of you want to join or want to apply, our online form is on our website. So if you want to be a part of those orientations, I don't like the idea of training. I think it's orientation, right? It's orientation development. And so, so just go online and fill out the form.
Okay, Nicole, I have a question for you. It seems that your initial mandate when you came was to actually bring diversity to the Adirondacks area. And with the advent of the pandemic, that mission has changed a little bit. Yeah. What I'd like to ask you is, what was your reaction when you first arrived here?
Well, so I worked in Elmira, New York. Have you ever been to Elmira, New York?
Yes.
Yep. That is some crazy shit. Sorry. I was at 4 years of working with the very, 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 very male, very white legislature who didn't want to do nothing. I literally just laughed at them a lot because it was tokenism, right? So they brought me in, but they didn't want to do any of the changes. They don't want to make any of the changes. And it wasn't even radical change, right? It was just, language to make people feel included. And so Elmira is similar. The only thing that Elmira and the southern tier is more condensed, right? So it's more, the population is more robust. It has similar, the economies are dependent a lot on the prison industrial complex, and the Finger Lakes are dependent on tourism, right? Heavily dependent on tourism. And then you have a few educational institutions that hire the rest of the people. And then you have a lot of elder care facilities. And so it was similar to me in that way, but what was stark for me was that I immediately had to tell them, you know, this mission ain't gonna work, right? Because you cannot, first of all, you need to change the reference that BIPOC people, minority communities, queer people have when it comes to the Adirondack, right? So for example, Black and Latinx people, when they think about, if they even know about the Adirondacks, it's because I had to come visit my cousin Trina in prison, right? I had to come visit my cousin Joe at Dannemora or Raybrook, right? It's not, and then aside from that, the ways in which wilderness is thought about, and I teach classes on colonialism. You can't call somewhere wilderness unless you move the people who were there first out, and then you get to call it, right? So all of the First Nations people, you got to clear their asses out, and then you can declare it a wilderness. And then after that, you declare it a state park, right? So I mean, these are the ways in which the communities of color, queer communities, different minoritized communities think about the Adirondack Park. And you are telling me that you want me to bring them up here, right? First of all, it's so as I was doing my interviews and collecting the data on whether people knew about the Adirondacks or wanted to come to the Adirondacks, the first thing I heard was fear of the state troopers just making their way from southern parts or even the western parts of New York to the Adirondack, right? The ways in which their bodies are being extra policed just to get there. And then when they get there, they're looked at, and I'm saying they, like I'm not a part of that, you're looked at as an anomaly. And of course you're an anomaly, because there's not a whole lot of people of color facing in the communities, right? Especially on the trails, right? I'm doing this Adirondack Sixer, and I did haystacks and I wore jeans. And somebody stopped me. What? You shouldn't wear jeans. Are you okay? Are you lost? I know, right? I am halfway up this hill. You think I'm lost? For real, I am halfway up this mountain. Do you think I'm lost? I probably am more prepared than you, because I am not used to hiking the hill. So I have a big old backpack with food and everything just in case I get lost. So these are the kinds of ways in which the communities of color, minoritized communities think about the park. We have to get over that first. And then you can talk about, and not only that, we haven't even, and so I begun the conversation talking about the 70 million people who voted for Donald Trump. A lot of people in the park voted for the current administration and conservative local government. They are hungry, they're poor, they feel disenfranchised, whether rightly so or not. And you are telling us that we need to ask them to make room in their hearts when they can't even butter their bread for people of color coming up here. And I guarantee you the conversations I've had about the people of color that they want to come up here are the ones who can work remotely, right? Those with capital income who can invest. So they're not talking about any poor people who are going to want to access social services.
You guys want to do for supper?
Right? So this is the challenge, right? So you're exacerbating by not also listening to those communities, by not also attending
Something, but I didn't.
Mhm.
to the ways they already feel disenfranchised. And it's real. It's real, you know. I can sit here and talk about I can teach you how to talk to a poor white person about white dominance all day long. But if they got to work 2 or 3 jobs just to pay for that rickety ass apartment in Raybrook, nothing is going to get done. They're not hearing anything.
Mhm.
So that's what that was my first impression of the community.
Yep.
Nicole?
Yep.
Yeah, this is Don Papson. Communicated with you a little bit by email in the past.
Hi, Don. How are you?
I'm delighted that you are the presenter. I just love what you're saying. You're telling it like it is and how it doesn't have to be. And I just love everything you have said about all of your work.
Thank
It's
you.
wonderful. We've been waiting for a long time. My wife Vivian is nodding and saying yes.
Hi, Vivian.
How are you?
Let me stop sharing because I can't see everybody. There we go. And don't let that man shush you, Vivian. Don't let that man shush you.
Okay,
You've been married for too long.
Oh no, I've never been able to do that.
There you go. That's right.
Okay, anyone else has questions for Nicole? This has been wonderful, Nicole.
There's a sign up. Somebody has a
Yeah.
sign. Andrea. What is Andrea saying?
Yeah,
she can't speak, but she pull it up a little bit more, Andrea. Push it right to the screen. Yeah. Please unmute.
You are she is unmuted. You're unmuted, Andrea. I don't have a line through your
Can
microphone.
you type your question?
Type it. You use the chat box. You know what a chat box is, but your thing is open.
I know, right? Don't worry. The first few weeks of Zoom, I was like, I went through the same thing. Ugh, hate Zoom. Ugh.
Yeah, I'm looking at the roster of people and she's not muted. So I'm not sure what's going on with her thing.
Sometimes when the volume on the computer itself or whatever she's using is down,
yeah,
that's been a problem.
Is your volume up?
She had problems with this in the board meeting too.
Yeah.
So Nicole, I have a quick,
check your volume.
not so much a question is, we would love to have you visit the museum sometime when we're open.
Yes.
Do you need a lot of advance notice for that, or should we just give you a call?
I actually love just getting up and driving, but as soon as you're open, because you're not open, right? Like most museums. Yeah, I love getting up and driving. I actually, I hate New York City. Yeah, it was my home base and still is because my mom and my family, for between all of my education adventures, I cannot stand, I don't know how people live there. You on top of it, everybody looks unhappy. The rent's too goddamn high. Pardon my language, you know. I mean, shoot, you on the train before COVID, your face is in somebody's armpit and they're looking like this. Everybody trying not to look at you. You know, I mean, and if you say hello to somebody on the street, they're like, whoa, what's going on, right? So it's very, I think New York City's oppressive. I go there for my Jamaican food and that's it, and turn right around, 10 hours. But I was looking for space. I was not going to continue working anywhere. I was working in at Manhattanville College in Westchester, in Purchase, New York, and I just couldn't wait. That was not even good enough for me. I needed the land. I needed, because my even though I was born and raised in Kingston, my mother's from the hills of Jamaica, and there's just nothing like it. 15 families. I mean, it's desperate poverty, but your house is right next to the stream, and the water is so pure, you get it out of the rock, and that's what, you know. And there is, it's unlike the kind of American individualism. I still can't get over how somebody can be next door to me and dead for 5 days and I don't know, you know. I know that in Jamaica, it's because my neighbor is nosy, right? She's just nosy, right? But she gonna know whether or not I am out of the house and whether or not I'm well or eating, right? And poverty will make you more aware of your neighbor, because you're gonna be hungry and they're gonna be hungry too, you know? So I really wanted to return to the land. So for me, I always consider myself fortunate that I can get paid for what I love in a place that I'm hoping to stay. Yeah. So that's it.
Has your family been up? Any members from your family?
My mother came up just when COVID broke out, because I wanted to quarantine her. She's, you know, immunocompromised, but she was just upset with me because I wouldn't let her go to the store. I would. She just, yes. And then we only have 2 grandchildren in the family, and she, you know, she's attached by the hip. So she wanted to be back there with these 2 boys. So yeah, but she's supposed to come up next year in January. And and my family can't do without, you know, the drama of New York City. I have another sister who lives in Florida. Nobody, you couldn't pay me a dime. You couldn't pay me nothing to live in Florida. Nothing. Everything in Florida has evolved to eat you. Everything. The sun, the mosquitoes, the lizard, the crocodiles, the snakes people let go. Everything. And I'm sorry, y'all, senior citizens and the old people have evolved to kill you on those roads with those big old cars. Yes. I live in Florida. You are wonderful people, but you drive some Cadillacs and you can barely see over the wheel. And because you don't have to go in, I know, ageism, I love y'all. Because y'all don't have to go in and do the eye test. I used to work for a man who was 95. And he drove the old kind of Cadillacs with a big old trunk where you could put 5 bodies and put this wonderful little man, you know. But I would be so scared when he would pick me up from the bus stop, because he would be afraid to make the corner. So if anybody was behind him, he would drive past the turn and say, oh, that dude is too close to me. And it'll take us like 45 minutes to get 5. So anyway, that was my moment of comedy. Yes, but I love y'all. But Florida is not, I don't think Florida is welcoming and inclusive for me. Everything wants to eat you in Florida. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming in. I think you've muted yourself, Andrea. Can you speak now? Oh, but you're not muted on here. I can tell you that now.
Thank you for having me, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
As soon as I get a chance, I'm gonna come to the museum. Yay! Yeah. Oh, goddamn COVID. Pardon my language. My mother would just be so upset with me now. My mouth is filthy. She'd be like, that is not how I raised you. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for having me.
So thank you. We got to see the real Nicole.
I trap you red for 5 minutes. Never do that again. Shoot. I don't know who said that to you.
Okay.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Jim, we'll let you continue.
Okay. Let me see if I can get some share content going here. getting there. Okay, I think. I have just 3 slides, and so I'm going to go to the second one of the 3 and talk to you a little bit about the Bequest Challenge, because that's been pretty exciting for us. Jan Levan and Bob Ross, they are friends, but they're also philanthropists, and they believe in what we're trying to do in terms of our vision and our mission. So they wanted to support us, and they offered a $5,000 challenge donation that we have received. And then we've also had other friends now also step up as far as being part of that challenge. The board approved unanimously to have this program. And what it's going to boil down to is not anything that unique other than what planned giving is to many charities, charitable organizations. However, we are at the start at square one. So we are going to put ourselves in position to launch this program in the first quarter of next year. But in the interim, if there are some questions or comments, or somebody would like more information, you can definitely get a hold of me at my email address, which you can see there, pretty straightforward. But why don't I stop there and just see if there's any questions, because this is, like I say, this is pretty exciting for us, and we're looking forward to how we can best make it work for the organization.
Jim, I have a question. Well, first of all, congratulations to you and the board for doing this. Underneath the $5,000 challenge, another friend and member has committed. What does that mean exactly? Have they committed to matching the 5,000, or are they?
Yes, they've committed to matching the 5,000.
So you're already starting out with 10.
Correct.
Okay, and okay, great. So, then how do you continue the challenge? You've already met the challenge.
Well, now we're looking for those that say, hey, there's some real commitment and interest in this. And we hope that our friends and members will also be part of it going forward.
Well, my question is, now that you've met that challenge, can you say, look, we had a challenge and we met it. Now let's go to 15. You know, can we do another 5, something like that, you know?
Well, no, that's a very welcome perspective. And like I said, we're right at the front end of putting our package together, our brochures together, our outlining all of our processes. So that's why between now and hopefully early to mid to not later than the end of the first quarter, we will have this out into the public. But that's another thing that I'll definitely take into account. We'll take into account on how we want to, I guess, promote this, challenge others, that thing. But yes, thank you very much, Don.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay, Jim, I'll just clarify something. So right now, if people want to participate, what they have to do is contact you, and you will send them a form.
Correct.
And they will say, so do they have to actually give money right now up front?
Oh, no, no, this is one of the beauties of it. It's really an individual a couple that are saying, you know, I'd really like to do something for the organization for the North Country Underground Railroad Historical Association. So I'm going to put something in my will. If I have a trust, maybe I'll put something in a trust. Maybe you just want to make a monetary donation. It is strictly up to the individual. And all we're asking is that there's a commitment to do it. And this is basically Bob Ross and Jan Levan saying, all we want is your commitment. We don't care how much, it's $1.50. It's whatever number you want to do, however you want to do it. And that's what the announcements, the brochure and other types of media that we'll use is that it'll say it's just a commitment, and then we expect someone to follow through on it.
Okay, okay, good. So to meet the $5,000, we have to have like a couple is obviously two people. So if 5 couples say we're going to put in our will that we're going to bequeath so much money, that will, do we already have those people? Do you have commitments from?
You know, Don said it better than I did, that's for sure. The commitment has already been made. I mean, you know, we have the check in the bank from Jan and Bob.
Yeah.
So that challenge has been made. That's just to show their commitment that they want to be supportive of our organization, but they also are looking for what the response is going to be. But regardless of what the response is, that money is, they've just given it to us, to be honest. They've just given us the money. But it's phrased in the form of a challenge to say, hey, there are people that are committed to this organization, and we hope to find a whole bunch more that are also willing to support us in a plan giving mode. And again, it's either through a will, through a trust, or maybe even just cash. And there are some organizations, I don't know if we'll do this, there are some charities that get stock or get land, or, you know, I don't know if we're going to be able to get that sophisticated, but because we're going to start out with a basic approach, but there's to a degree, it's going to end up with how creative and effective we can be at how we roll this out, and
Jim,
then as well as maintain it.
Jim?
Yes.
Aren't you really talking about two separate things? I mean, the challenge is one thing, and then the estate planning is something else, right?
Right. And that's why you made a good point, Don. We've met the basic challenge. Now it's the challenge to grow that basic challenge.
Right. But people don't have to wait, do they, Jim? I mean, they could contact you tomorrow.
Yes, yeah. And like I say, right now we are, you know, the board has all been notified about this, and they've received an email, because it's going to initially be launched by email, but then we also know we need to do more than that, than just email. So, and that's where we're at right now, is putting our plan together on how we want to roll this out and how effectively we can roll it out. So if you know a good brochure designer, let me know who that is, and I'll be glad to talk to him and see how professional a brochure we can put together. Okay, just one other quick slide, talking a little bit about 2021. And here again, this is not just the governance committee, but it's also borrowing and discussing some of these topics with the other committees and board. But yeah, we want to roll out the Bequest Challenge Plan Giving Program first quarter. We know we've got a kind of a moving target with COVID, but we want to at least have a plan together to have ourselves ready to open if it's gonna be viable. So we have to work on those procedures. And then we also have a special anniversary next year, and that's of course our 10th anniversary of the museum being open. So we want to make that special. Second quarter, we know if we open first week or Memorial Day weekend, how many docents do we actually have today that are ready to go? I think that's just a few. So we got a lot of work to do getting new docents on board and trained, as well as we never have had too many board members that are enthusiastic about what we need to get done. We have to have the museum ready to open, and then we're going to have to stage that, actually stage that event. And again, if it's significantly COVID impacted, we're going to have to take that into account. Third quarter, we would like to have some possible different bus touring options. That is more concept than reality right now, but there's so much that we could do there. And then we are, again, planning on a third quarter street drive fundraiser. It'll be COVID influenced, but we've gotten some good information lately with the vaccine efforts that are looking positive. And lastly, a year from now, we'll hopefully be celebrating another successful year and have our 16th annual meeting. So I'm going to step aside now, give it back to Jackie.
Okay, thank you, Jim. That was really great. We're going to have our next presentation by Ethan Depo. Ethan is, I called him like educational consultant. He resides in Morrisonville and is a student at SUNY Plattsburgh. His major is in history education, which is a 5-year BA/MST program to become a certified 7th to 12th grades teacher. He's on the deans and presidents list. Ethan is currently working at the Peru Central School, and he has been working with Carol Hatfield to create lesson plans on the Underground Railroad. So he will give a presentation on those lesson plans. The floor is open to you, Ethan.
Thank you, Jackie. I want to first of all thank everyone who has participated in this project that Carol and I have been working on, and so I want to thank Carol, Anya, Jim, Jackie, and everybody else who has who have reviewed the lesson plans and gave comments and feedback. So thank you so much for doing so. So let's start a screen share. I'm gonna actually expedite this a little bit. Let's see how good I can do this. I don't use Zoom. We use and Mr. Mitchell knows this. We use Google Meets and Google Classroom at Peru, Google-based system. So quickly, the goal of this project was to develop a series of lesson plans based on a wide range of topics. So we have anything from Solomon Northup to the Chinese Americans that were imprisoned in Fort Henry. We had a lesson plan on the abolitionists from the area, local abolitionists. And up to the Vietnam and draft dodging and everything. So it was really a comprehensive project that I tried to design lesson plans that were easily adaptable for anything, for whether you had 7th graders learning about slavery and abolitionism, all the way up to reteaching that in 11th grade for a Regents-based classroom. Completely different, obviously, because in 7th grade, you don't have to worry about standardized testing so much. So let's go here, I guess. Like I said, lesson plans under development. Here's we created I created 8 different lesson plans, and I had Carol revise and edit them with me. Like I said, we had one on Solomon Northup and 12 Years a Slave. We had a lesson plan on John Thomas, a museum timeline that we actually integrated the museum's timeline into the lesson plan. the abolitionist experience, abolitionism in the North Country, about John Brown, Stephen Keyes, Noah Dyer Moore, etc., the Chinese Exclusion Act, and also, like I said, Vietnam War and the Underground Railroad to Canada and civil rights. So really comprehensive, and like I said, all the lesson plans were developed to be used at the middle school and high school level. To go on quickly about this, each lesson plan had a bunch of materials accompanying it. So according to what I've learned through the master's program at SUNY Plattsburgh, we have to always start off the lesson with a bell ringer of some sort. So these bell ringers are designed to kind of draw students into what I'm going to be talking about, or what the teacher is going to be talking about for the lesson. So the biggest problem when it comes down to history in general, I feel like if you're not really into history as a student, if you're more of a math and science student, or you just don't love school at all, especially I currently have some students that just don't really like school, history becomes very, very separate and very, very almost for those kids useless, because why should I care as a young 13-year-old or 12-year-old about something that happened 150, 200 years ago? So my job as a teacher then is to start off the lesson with a bell ringer potentially that would be relatable for these students to their own lives, to evoke some emotion. So for example, at one of my lessons, I had a bell ringer and I phrased it in the likes of, imagine if you were kidnapped by somebody that you don't know, and you were taken from wherever you reside in upstate New York to the other side of the United States. All of a sudden you're in a completely different area. You have no clue where you are. You don't have your family around. You don't have your brothers and sisters if you have any. And now you're expected to try and find your way back home. What do you do? And so I have a bell ringer that's in nature. It relates to a basic experience as potentially a slave during this time, somebody who was enslaved. And so it's a way to kind of connect what is being taught for the student to their own lives, what could actually happen in their own life, because that is feasibly, it could be possible. And it humanizes the experience a little bit for these students, especially at such a young age. It's a little bit harder to maybe fathom what happened, I would say. All my lessons too have potentially a guided note section, a lesson slideshow of some sort, just to introduce the concepts, introduce the material and the content. But then I always try and incorporate some activity, some engaging activity, that instead of just doing, my honest opinion, boring guided notes or listening to me blabber for 40 minutes on the lecture, I want students to take some agency for their own learning and actually start researching their own, learn about the topic through primary and secondary sources. So that's where like maybe a KWL chart comes in, or say a matching game activity, or also the summarizing exercise would come in. Just a couple examples of activities that we can also use as educators to engage our students. Moving on, here's that. More about the companion materials. Here's some screenshots that Carol took of the actual lesson plans. So right here is the actual exit slip prompt. So an exit slip is just a fancy way of, like, I hate to use the other term quiz, but it's like kind of a quiz that you administer at the end of the lesson for an educator to gain some formative assessment data on your students, on whether or not they actually comprehended any of the material, if they understood any of the material. You can test them to see if they actually were able to meet your standards, your objectives, your learning outcomes as a teacher. So over here is a KWL chart. So the what I want to know, what I know, what I want to know, and what I learned. I actually just used one of those in one of my lessons the other day. And it was a pretty good success. And then here's some more screenshots of the lesson plans planning. I do use the social studies framework that's now been adopted by New York State as of, I want to say 2015, 2016 for social studies teachers. So that does mean it's very, very specific. And to be honest, especially at the 7th and 8th grade level for this area, it's a little hard to achieve some of their objectives. So they definitely have to be modified, but it's good for new teachers to follow. It's a nice, easy way to follow for educators of what students need to know and what they don't need to know for New York State. Other than that, just to skip around a little bit once again, with COVID coming in, the big issue that we came into conflict with was how do we actually teach this year, obviously. So how do we actually teach potentially all virtual classroom, 100% remote? How do we actually teach in a hybrid setting like Peru? And then how do we still make stuff, because COVID's not going to last forever. So how do we actually make stuff that can easily be still taught in person as a full traditional model? My lesson plans were designed to be easily and readily modifiable. They're very specific, and there's a lot of very specific details in them and how the teacher should present the materials. But once again, the core of it, all the materials behind it, can be adapted for all virtual learning, so 100% online learning, or for a traditional 100% traditional classroom. So my hope of this is that we will continue, and I'm already working on it, is that I'll continue with actually a Google Classroom. So I'll actually put everything into a Google Classroom, or a couple lesson examples into a Google Classroom format. And I'll base it off of what I currently use at my school and at what I'm doing with my students. So pretty cool. I guess right now it's gonna be a pretty abrupt ending, but are there any questions for me? Let me stop sharing, see everybody's
Okay.
so, any questions for me or the project?
Yes, I have a question for you, Ethan. When you started this project, I shouldn't say, when you started working on this, was it difficult to really come up with how you would present these lesson plans or pull them together?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so that's where I shouldn't say anything obviously negative about SUNY Plattsburgh, but one thing that they don't really do with us as future educators, as students of education, they don't really get us in the classroom enough. So I really had no clue how to teach 7th and 8th grade 100%. So I've only had one minor experience with teaching a 7th grade classroom at my first year of grad school. And so I only had 4 weeks with those students, and it was primarily a self-contained 7th and 8th grade social studies, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade social studies classroom. I'm not joking, best students I've ever had. They were so much fun, and it was such an easy class to work with. But that was about the extent of my experience. So thinking about these, okay, how can I actually make this reasonable for a 7th or 8th grader? I knew that on average up here, just from my experience with most of the school districts, you get a lot of students who are classified as SPED or with an IEP at 504. So it's a big jump for them. It's a big jump for them. We have a lot of students who are just on average, especially right now with COVID, they're not engaged. They don't care. We have students that are accelerated students and higher level, higher performing students that they've lost a lot of hope and will. So to design a lesson plan, I'll tie this all in, to design a lesson plan that would do my best to engage as many students as possible, to make it as interesting as possible. It might not be fun. What you do in school might not always be fun, but as long as I can maintain the engagement of the student in what I do, at least I tried my best. At least I tried my best as an educator. So that's why I had all those different activities, and I'm always changing it up. I never did the same thing for each lesson plan, because my mentality behind it is that teachers would go in here and be like, oh, I like the KWL chart from lesson plan, whatever, but then I like the 3-2-1 from that other lesson plan, and they would mash it together and just modify the materials to better suit whatever they were doing. So
Okay.
did that help? Or did that?
Yes, it did. It did. It did.
I've got a question, because I was very impressed. So that's the bottom line. It was really an excellent effort, job. I think I try to think back once in a while when I was in 7th through 12th grade and these topics just weren't there. So, I mean, that's a few years ago, but still, I think if we can get this kind of quality lesson plans out, it's great. The other part though is they will evolve, and I might have missed it, but how do these get maintained a year or 2 years from now?
So that's a really good question. I would say as of right now, I am more than happy to continue to work on them and continue to adapt them. I can do little updates, and it's especially like 2 years might not seem like a lot of time, but especially with everything that happens, how quickly information travels nowadays. Yeah, we want to keep them updated. So as of right now, I definitely wouldn't mind going right back in the next year or so and just making little tweaks. And once again, as an educator, you're always making tweaks to your materials. And it could be literally something that I realize this. So you do something on Monday for my A students and Tuesday for my A students, and I hated it and it didn't work. I switch it completely for Thursday and Friday for my B students. So I can definitely, I would definitely not mind making little tweaks from here on out. So
we hope these to be living documents. The next challenge ahead within the next like 6 weeks, because the grant in theory runs out at the end of the year, is that we get them posted on our website. And that we do a massive outreach to the 7 counties and all the schools within the 7 counties, and also use our library system and use our social media pages to let them know. But we want them to be living documents where we're going to be getting feedback. And a challenge for the board and everyone is, can we get additional grant and resources, to add more materials to maintain them. And from what I understand with Ethan, and he can briefly describe it, these lesson plans are blueprints. So it's teaching the teacher in some respects, or reminding the teacher about the materials. And it's really about our museum experience. I mean, when we went to go get this grant, it was to bring students to the museum. And, we're a little handicapped this year, but hopefully we'll be able to do that within another year or so. And what you skipped over the slides because of timing. We also have done a lot of photographs and videos that we're going to incorporate on the web pages with the materials. So in a sense, we've actually captured some virtual aspects of the museum as well as the bus tour. And as Ethan, and I've talked, we want families to go out and go look for all those markers and stuff too.
Definitely.
Carol, I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah, is there any possibility that an effort could be made, if it hasn't been made already, to get the program that the Keysville Elementary School students did? It was so great, and then we couldn't get it to run anymore.
The games, sure. There's we can do anything with these. Bobby also has lesson plans that she had developed on Harriet Tubman that we would like to dovetail into this work.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Ethan, how do you introduce this? Do you introduce this as part of the study of the Civil War, or how do you just start a lesson plan on the Underground Railroad in mid-year, or how do you incorporate that?
So the mentality behind it is that teachers would be able to use these and integrate them into, I would say, how our current framework works. It's really weird. We talk about westward expansion in 7th grade for 7th graders, and then it kind of morphs into popular sovereignty, the idea of slave state versus free state, and then so it's kind of in that time frame. So it's 7th grade is grade still as Civil Wars, where we end off in 1865 when Lincoln was assassinated. So it's right before that. So that's like the last unit. You would say if it's like out of 9 units, I think my course is, I want to say it's unit 8. So it's conflicts and compromises, I think is what I call it. So it's all about like the Missouri Compromise, the Compromise of 1850, Fugitive Slave Act, all that. So it's yep, it's that section. So
Okay.
and
Well,
so,
you think you have something up and done? I'm thinking about Black History Month. There tends to be a lot of requests for things for Black History Month, and this might be a good time to really have teachers and even homeschoolers explore your lesson plans and the things that you pulled together.
yeah, definitely. And these, we jam-pack so much information. So I had Carol work with me really closely with adding a lot of extra information into these lesson plans, because the traditional lesson plan that we learn at SUNY Plattsburgh, we don't have to put tons of content in it, because our supervisor for that, she's English concentration, so she can really only help the English students, but she's more or less worried about, can we pass our NTPA that they want to see New York to be able to see us be able to lesson plan effectively. But what Carol and I did, we put in a lot of extra facts and vocab words and vocab definitions, so that way teachers would be refreshed at minimum, if not taught something. Maybe they would have extra information at their availability. So that was our mentality behind that too, is that the lesson plans can actually hold their own, and that the teacher can get the majority of the information they probably need to know to teach the lesson out of the lesson plan itself.
And it really celebrates local history, the Champlain line, going, you know, from Saratoga all the way up to Quebec.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ethan. That was really great. We're excited.
No problem. Thank you so much, Jackie.
Yeah. Yay.
Yes. The next thing on our agenda is the voting. As we sent out voting information in the annual meeting packet, we will have to wait for that to come. And I just want to remind everyone to return their ballots by December 1st so that we can go through the votings. And I must say, I made a little bit of a boo-boo. We have 2 members on there, John Mitchell and Jim Clobert, that I put down as board members, but they're also 2 of our officers. So when you vote, you will be re-voting them into those offices. I don't know if they knew that. John is the first vice president, Jim is our second vice president. So as I said, we get those back into the mail. It'll probably be about a week or so after December 1st. In case someone drops theirs in on December 1st, our mail has slowed down. I want to give them a week for that to get back to us, and then the results will be posted on our website.
Okay.
Okay. I thought about having this went a lot longer than we anticipated, right, Jim? Our meeting. So I thought about opening up for discussion, but I'm not sure if anyone wants to stay that long. So I'm not going to say that. However, I do want to remind everyone that that this is a very difficult time this year, and I want to ask that each of you wear your mask when you're in public places, to wash your hands frequently, and socially distance from those that are not in your immediate household. We want to make sure we see you back here again next year. And so this is what we're throwing out to everyone. And I know these are things that we were taught when we were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-year-olds. Isn't it a very odd world now that we are having to be retaught these same things again? But I ask that you have a great Thanksgiving, a very Merry Christmas, and of course, a Happy New Year. And I'm going to close out with the song, Oh Freedom, for everyone.
Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you.
Great meeting.
Oh, thank you. Now I want to get to my song here. This was not closing out on me. Okay, so, but I am open to listening if anyone wants to talk. I know that we're living in very difficult times, and I know people are having a very hard time with everything that's happening, not just with the pandemic, but also with what's happening in our world today. So. I think my internet sometimes is getting a little tired of me. Okay, maybe we can get going now. This will work. Okay. Okay. Share screen. Okay. And Oh Freedom. And share. Okay. Bear with me. I think I'm getting tired, or my computer is getting tired. One or the other. I'm not sure which it is. Okay.
Freedom, oh, freedom.
Okay. No. That's not what we want. Stop.
Sounds good though.
It does. Okay, hold on. I had this thing right here. Let's see. Okay. I know we want to hear Aretha Franklin, but not right now. Okay, here we go.
Oh, I can't believe I'm muted the whole time.
Is that Andrea? Finally?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Okay.
What? It just came back on. Oh Lord. I don't get it.
Okay.
But you could hear the meeting, right?
Yeah, I heard everything. I just don't understand what happened.
Praise God, you're here now, lady.
Yeah, but it's all over and I had so much to say.
I know.
I'm so sorry you had this problem.
Yeah, that's all right. That's okay.
Did you figure out what it was?
I don't know. I've been touching buttons all evening, so I don't know which one worked. Oh boy. Yeah, Jackie, it was a great meeting, very informative. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, yeah. That lady Nicole, she has her hands full.
Yes.
Is the meeting over, Jackie?
I just playing the last song.
Okay.
Maybe.
Well, Andrea can sing for us.
Know that I can talk? Yeah.
We're,
We
we're,
might shut down again.
we're gonna have to leave now because our dinner is late. I've got to take care of Vivian right now.
Okay, go ahead, Don. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Don. Bye, Viv.
Great to see you, Don, Vivian.
Everybody.
Bye, Don.
Bye, bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Vivian.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I was just, while we're waiting, Jackie, you're waiting for the music to come on. I was gonna ask,
you don't have it?
we have nothing, no.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
I was
Well, I'm
gonna ask
glad
you-
somebody said something because I thought it was on. Hold on. I thought I had shared it. I'm just sitting here listening to it and enjoying it. I apologize immensely. I wish you'd have said something sooner.
We thought you were working on it.
I was. I guess just for myself, huh? Okay. Here we go.
Yeah, it's coming.
Oh, freedom.
Can you hear it?
Yes.
Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. Over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. And go home to my Lord.
thought that was a nice close. It almost makes me reminds of today. Let me cut this off.
I was thinking that, yeah.
Yes, but it reminds me of today. It really does. So I thought that was a fitting closing for our annual meeting.
It was very good.
Yeah.
It
So
seems like
thank
we
you.
can save all our signs that we use for demonstrations for the next generation. Just keeps going on and on. Nothing is, it's like everything is the same fight over and over,
And over
every
it goes.
generation. I'm
Yeah, I
looking at the
saw the
signs.
yes.
Yeah.
These signs from way back then, and we can use those same signs today.
Yeah, like the guy with the boat on his face.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean,
Now it's on a face mask.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was a face mask? Okay. But
No,
yeah,
now it's a face mask.
Okay. But it just like, it's almost like we're living it again.
Yeah, yeah, recycle everything.
Yes.
Okay, the fight goes on. See you later.
Here's my face mask. Can you read it?
What does that say? I'm
speaking. I can't see the bottom part.
Oh, wait a minute.
I can see I'm speaking.
Kamala Harris and the Lincoln Project.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I love that Lincoln Project, I must say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see that clip with that new congresswoman who was wearing a mask that said Breonna Taylor?
Yes.
Yes.
People asked her, called her Breonna.
Yes.
They had no idea who she was.
No, no.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It is.
But I think there's also a new member that in Congress who's upset that they have to wear masks.
Yes, that's non-woman.
There are states like that now. That's why this pandemic is climbing, because there are states who refuse to wear masks.
Yes.
Yes. Thanks to our fearless leader.
Yeah.
It's climbing here too.
Yes, it is. It's not good. And I'm really worried about whether or not we're going to shut down again.
We might not have a choice at this point.
Well, you know what? That will give me more time to get more doses, so it's okay. We'll just keep educating ourselves.
Yeah, that's pretty good, Bobby. You found the joy in that.
Yes, I did.
Okay, well, I want to thank everyone.
Right.
Yep.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Jackie.
And have a great rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
You too. It was wonderful.
Okay.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye.
You.